Well, hi there. It's me, Ron Knight. Hey, I know I've done this before and changed my mind or whatever, but I'm going to give it a shot again. I decided to create a new channel, SurvivingArtiste. You can see the spelling down below or whatever. Because I started trying to do another project on my computer with DAZ Studio. And I have a whole history of trying to do the 3D art thing going back to 1996 when I bought Poser version 1. And over the years I have achieved a certain amount of fame and also a certain amount of infamy where some people still don't like me to this day. At any rate, one of the things that I've done is I have helped other 3D artists get inspired and learn Poser or DAZ Studio. And that's part of what I may do on occasion is the tutorials, but with a big emphasis for me will be to talk about the software involved, the companies involved, my experience trying to use the software and trying to put together a project or whatever. So if you're at all interested in my 3D art stuff, this would be the channel to watch. And if you're not interested in that stuff, you don't have to follow this channel. I mean, what the heck, life is too short. Don't want to waste time on things that don't work. So what I'm going to do now is, for those of you who haven't seen, I will try to add some examples of some artwork that I've done and some characters that I've created. This is Marlon Fingal. He is the first character that I created using Poser, and at the time I first created him, he was quite popular with my fans on the site Renderosity. What I actually did during the process of several hours in a day is I would design the character and ask for opinions, and I would make some changes and keep going like that. Over the years, the character has changed. Right now, the most distinctive part that makes him the character is his huge nose and his face and the weird hair, but he's got now has the standard body of the standard Michael 1, I believe it is, so that all the clothes will fit. Now, over the years, I decided I really wanted a character that more closely resembles me as far as being a larger man. And by that time, there was a new version of Michael 3 that came out. And also, they had the people who provide the content have come up with clothes that would fit the various sizes of the bodies of the models. So that worked out really well. This one I call Rick Click. You very often see him with a Marlon Fingal. Okay, for those of us who know what real life is like, quite often there's somebody out there that likes to give us a hard time. Well, I had to have a character like that for Marlon and Rick Click. So I have Jimmy a Jerk. He is a real jerk. So I also wanted a female who would harass Marlon and Rick. At one time, Jill Chill looked a lot uglier and meaner, but I kind of softened that approach. I thought that maybe she and Marlon might hook it up or something. So I made her into a better looking, nicer person. So I decided, though, I still wanted a mean woman who might get along with Jimmy Jerk and give Marlon Fingal and Rick Click a hard time. So I have Bitty Body. That's B-I-T-T-I-B-O-T-T-I. As you may have noticed, I like to have names that are kind of unique and maybe a play on words. A Bitty Body, Busy Body. Here's an image of the original version of Marlon Fingal. He's larger, longer hair, whatnot. And I put on a bodysuit to make him like a superhero, although I don't know what his superpowers are except to make you laugh. And to make it even more absurd, I put on a pair of Union Jack boxer shorts. And you can see they didn't quite fit right, but it does kind of achieve the goal of perhaps making you laugh. Maybe that's his superpower. Okay, I toyed around with the idea of coming up with a woman to kind of match up with Rick Click, a little bit older or whatnot, and I couldn't decide if she's going to be a girlfriend or a wife like I had a while ago. So I never really utilized her that much. I have no idea why she's showing up with this facial expression. I was probably just goofing off. So over the years, I've tried to launch a few cartoons that kind of depict the kind of life that I or Marlon or Rick Click might have. And sometimes I would get a decent start. I'd have a 2 or 3, and then for various reasons, I just couldn't handle it anymore. This is kind of showing what Rick Click and I go through going grocery shopping. I feel kind of lost, and I have anxiety attacks about should I get this or that or something else, and I can't think and all that kind of stuff. So there's Rick Click in the supermarket. One of the things that always drives me nuts is the mother or father who bring their kids into the supermarket, and the kids are yelling and screaming and they just don't stop. And half the time, either the parents don't seem aware of the problem or they just don't care and don't do anything. So I came up with, I can't remember the names of the kids, Mad Max and somebody else, and then the mom, to kind of illustrate that situation in the supermarket. And it happened again to me the last time I went shopping. Okay, a few years ago, I went through a hell of a rough patch, and it didn't seem to be any hope for me to get through it. So I was kind of a Dr. Phil fan. So I made up a cartoon in which Rick Click sent a video or a letter to Dr. Phil, and he had him on his show. Now I worked with what I had. I made a character that looked like Dr. Phil, but I called him Dr. Bill. And since I couldn't really come up with a set like the Dr. Phil show, so I made it look like a talk show. And the cartoon was pretty popular with a few of my fans. But Dr. Phil never did respond to the cartoon that I sent him. So this cartoon that I didn't finish, Rick Click decided that he wanted some help, so he called 911 and said he was considering suicide. So the police officers showed up and brought him to the crisis center in the local hospital, and he spent a few days there kind of regathering his strength. So I also do a lot of writing. I've been working on one, started out as a story, then I thought I would do a novel, and worked on it on and off for like 30 years, and pretty much decided that I'm not really good at writing novels, but I decided to try to illustrate some of the characters. And this is Bottle Ralph. He is a friend of Rick Click, going back like 25 years or so when Rick lived in New Hampshire. And this is all part of a fantastic story with villains and heroes and you name it. Now here's one of the cast of villains in the story that I've been writing. His name is Booker. He's a firebug and also a bit of a sadist. Really frightening character, one that Rick knew many years ago, and he's come back to haunt him. Now this picture shows two things. It shows, again, Booker in the background, and then in the front there's a character called Brass, who's a biker. You can see, obviously, I had difficulty fitting her clothing properly. And also next to her is kind of a doppelganger of Rick Click. At one time, they both looked the same, but Rick gained a lot of weight. And Ray, I can't remember his last name, Ray, anyway. Is the guy on the right. Now you can see, outside of the fact that I had difficulty with the clothing, making that fit properly, the posing, I have a hard time trying to make a character pose by myself, so I usually try to rely on pose sets that you just click on a button and they come up there, they're posed. I end up just giving up on that part of the project. So the idea here was that this group of people, Booker, Brass, and Ray, they use computers to harass Rick, Click, Marlon, and a bunch of other people. They're trolls. They don't show their own faces. I thought they kind of fit in with kind of part of the reality of my life. And they're in a scene that's a hacker scene, I think it is. We got the computers and the tables and whatnot. This is about the best I came at making a particular pose look halfway decent. And again, I haven't done anything with this project for months. Okay, I showed you a brief sample of the many pictures, characters I've created over the last 12, 13 years, whatever the case is. I sometimes have a difficulty organizing things, or I know how to organize them, but then I get them organized and I lose track. So I wasn't able to easily come up with a lot more examples. I need to work on that in the near future, but I do have other projects that I will be looking at as well. So this at least serves as kind of an introduction to the purpose of this channel. And to me as the artist, I chose the name. I originally, while on a video on my other channel, I came up with the term bipolar artist, related to the fact that perhaps maybe I have more than depression. Maybe it's manic depression and depression, manic and whatever, bipolar. I thought about using that name for the channel and an email address, but somebody had already taken it, so I just kept trying different things. So like Surviving Artist, because I'm still surviving, but then it turned out that that was taken already as well, so I added the E at the end, SurvivingArtiste, which kind of puts, I don't know, it's a fancy pronunciation or spelling on it. So that's how I came up to the name for this channel. Again, if you're interested in what I might do in 3D art, or maybe learning a few things, having a little bit of fun, you can come here. If you don't like that stuff, don't even bother. Thank you again for your support. This is Ron Knights, and I still want it all, and I want it now. Bye-bye.